Hey guys, welcome to Rotor Riot. I am super excited to give you guys a first look today at the new BubbyFPV Cinemini. So before I get into the actual drone itself, I want to go over the frame design because I put a lot of thought over the past, year and a half into this frame. The first thing that I thought about when designing this 2.5-inch platform is that I wanted it to be under 250 grams or 0.55 pounds. And the reason that is because in the US at least, there's a lot of laws where the 0.55 pounds is like the cutoff. To fly it over people, sub 250 is necessary, although now they did just release a waiver that gets it up to 399, but at the time of me designing this, the number was sub 250. So fully built with a naked GoPro, this drone is 236 grams, which that weight gets you, well under the sub 250 category, but as well gives you like, 15-ish grams to play with for add-ons, like if you're gonna add a remote ID or a light, little things like that. So not only does it meet that, legal requirement, but also just in general, I want my cinematic drones to be as light as possible. The lighter the drone, it just means you'll get better performance. And I think this is probably the lightest 2.5-inch platform, if not one of the lightest frames. There are some drawbacks though, so as you can see, it's very thin. Let me grab a top plate really quick. So, both of these plates are 1.5 millimeters thick, and as you can see, the prop guards are very thin. So I made them thin enough to where they won't just like snap when you're like holding it and stuff, but if you crash this thing fairly hard, it is going to break. So every frame kit actually will come with 2 sets of carbon so that when you do break it, you can fix it easily. So there are some things in the design of the frame that I did to make the really light carbon as durable as I could. So when I notice if I do have a little bump or a little crash, when I'm flying, it's always gonna be going head on like this. So I designed the top plate to have a triangle structure right here so that when you do hit like a head-on crash, it's actually gonna compress all the carbon this way, and that allows this piece of carbon, basically along this axis here, to be very durable. Let me show you a built frame. So yeah, so this is the frame built. As you can see, just this is the front side, this is the back side. Just this line of carbon right here keeps the damage on frontal impacts to a minimum. So the next thing that was really important to me in this 2.5-inch frame was having a very sturdy place to mount your naked GoPro. A lot of the frames I've used in the past, it always feels like an afterthought of how your naked camera's gonna be mounted. Usually it's just 2 screws and that's it. And what I noticed with those, just having 2 screws, is that over time on this front back axis, it gets very floppy. And since this drone was designed for cinema, putting a camera on top of it, I really wanted to design this platform around making sure that the camera has the best chances for getting rid of things like jello or little vibrations in the camera. So I did some special things with this mount to get rid of that stuff. So what I've actually done is I have made a U shape in the top plate. It's also in the bottom plate, but mostly for the top plate, this piece right here allows you to slot in your mount for your HD camera. So here you can see that this is the GoPro mount, and it actually slots on the top and the bottom. And then obviously there's 2 screws there to keep it fully secured, but having that kind of all around support of it being in the carbon really makes this whole, I got one right here, this whole GoPro mount very sturdy. So this is not going anywhere. This really helps with any vibrations you get to your GoPro or any jello that can come from, a bent prop. Having a really sturdy mount like this basically for me, it's helped eliminate a lot of it. Another cool thing about having such a sturdy mount like this on the drone is, let me grab the drone really quickly, is that, got the drone, is that you can mount things other than a GoPro very sturdily. So this is actually the Hayotech gimbal, and I've been using this platform a lot for live stream FPV. And what's really cool about this platform is that you can get a really stable live FPV shot. Haven't seen much of that unless the rig is just huge, but this has been the smallest platform that I can get stable FPV footage live. So again, the mounting is very similar where it wraps around the U shape of this frame here. And you know, I just added screws so that it mounts to the carbon plate that came with the gimbal. You can let your imagination run wild with whatever you want to mount on top. You could mount even something like a little light on top if you want to get, you know, like a two drone setup where you want one that's lighting the subject and one that's filming. Just having a mount as strong as this on top of the 2.5-inch platform allows you to do a lot more things than you normally would with, you know, a little bit more floppy of a mount. So the next thing is battery mounting on the 2.5-inch platforms has always been kind of funny. So what I actually did is I have this dog bone piece right here. It's let's see, it's right above where the all-in-one board goes, and this is kind of where the battery rests. So on these drones, I run my batteries in like a normal configuration where it sits like this. One thing that I also did design this for is when I was kind of prototyping this frame, I wanted to also be able to mount the battery toilet tank. So if you want, what's cool about having the hair tie as your mount is you can mount it like this. Or if for some reason you want to, you can mount it toilet tank. I personally like the way it flies better in its normal configuration, but if you are flying this thing where you're not gonna be carrying like a naked GoPro or, you know, gimbal on top, and you're just gonna be using your FPV camera as your main video camera, having a toilet tank actually did make a big difference. It really helped with the CG and the way that the drone flew. So if you're flying this thing with like, you know, your DJI 04 Pro camera as your main recording camera, I definitely recommend having this be toilet tank. The first thing you guys probably noticed when you saw this frame was that it's actually a pusher. So that means that the motors are mounted upside down. And basically instead of, you know, pulling up on the motor, you're pushing down on it. And for me, the biggest reason that I did this was I knew that my frame would not be the most durable design. So I wanted something where all of my electronics are on this single plate. So let's say I do end up breaking the bottom plate. It's literally just screws, some 3D prints, pop it off, pop a new back one on, and all of my electronics are in this singular plate. I am a big fan of making things easy to repair and also easy to build. And I think having less carbon makes things easier to build. This is just this, and your electronics is all you need to build. Yeah, so that's basically everything for like the features and little design choices that I made. There are a lot of 2.5-inch platforms out there, and just on the, you know, just looking at it, they all look very similar. And I know I have my own little design choices that I made, like I told you guys, and everyone else has their own. So yeah, little features that I love about this drone. So to go about what it supports, let me just run you guys through the frame and mounting holes really quick. So, you know, in the middle, we have our 25.5 by 25.5 mounting holes. This supports basically any all-in-one flight controller ESC that you'll want for this one. I like the 45 amps. That's what we're using in our binder flies. For our motor mounting, it's going to be a 9x9 motor mounting. Pretty standard, you know, for your 1404 size motors. And then if we go to the back of the drone, you have 20x20 M2 mounting holes for something like a Vista. And then we also have our 25.5 by 25.5 mounting. This is actually a 1.6 M hole size. And the reason I did that is because that is the size that fits the DJI 03 the best. You know, I know DJI 04 has come out, and if you want to mount the DJI 04, I just go ahead and use the 20x20 holes on the inside, the M2 screws, and it fits perfectly. So as far as all the cameras and VTX that it supports, you know, for your FPV feed, it supports the DJI 04 Pro, DJI 04 Lite. It supports the DJI 03, as well as like the Vista and the original DJI camera. It also supports the Avatar V2 Dual VTX, just mounts for the 20x20 mounting holes, as well as the camera that comes with that. So this frame design fits most of the popular VTXs out there. I can't think of any one that doesn't fit. I guess the original DJI Air unit, the big metal box one, that doesn't fit in here, but that doesn't fit in a lot of frames. And as far as cameras go, this frame actually fits any FPV camera that you want. So I guess I missed this in the design portion of it, but remember that U shape that we spoke about? I made that through the top and the bottom plate. So if you have something like the DJI O4 Pro, that camera is like 25 millimeters tall, and I didn't want to have to make the standoffs 25 millimeters tall. So to accommodate really tall or weird sized cameras, I kind of made an oversized camera cage for the FPV camera, and that allows you to use any 3D print that you make to fit an even taller camera. So the standoff height is actually only 15 millimeters on this, and I absolutely love the slammed look. But you can see the O4 pokes down the bottom a little bit. You know, what I've done to fix that is the mounts actually go all the way on the bottom, and they act kind of as resting feet, and there's also feet in the back. So when you sit it down, don't worry, it's not sitting on the O4 camera, it's sitting on the 3D prints. Why I did this, I know that DJI and other FPV camera manufacturers, there's always sizes changing, and I just wanted to make sure that this frame was as future-proof as it could be. So that U shape also helps with the, you know, whatever FPV camera you want to fit. So now that we're through all of the mounting specs, I guess one thing we didn't mention is the weight of just this frame with these specific 3D prints on here. So that's the GoPro mount, your O4 Pro camera mount, your antenna mount, as well as your receiver antenna mount. This weighs 46 grams. And it's broken. But thankfully it comes with 2 frames. Just kidding. I'm kidding. It's not broken after that. But yeah, so that's the frame itself. I'm very proud of this frame. I use this drone on 95% of my jobs, and I've been doing a lot of jobs lately. And these drones have gotten me through a lot of stuff. So I'm very happy that we're selling just a frame, but what I'm most excited for is the fact that we are selling fully built and tuned drones of all of these variants right here. And I'm gonna walk you guys through them. So you can get just the drone itself with, you know, whatever VTX situation like. So you can have the avatar stuff, you can have DJI stuff, whatever receiver you want, that'll be available as a built and tuned. And the next step up, if, you know, this drone was 100% meant strictly for filming stuff. So we will sell the same option, whatever VTX you want, and it comes with the naked GoPro on top. So if you're not gonna be using the DJI O4 Pro as your camera and VTX system, I highly recommend you get something like the naked GoPro on top, just because it really gets that crispy footage. This is my daily driver, so I actually fly it with the DJI O4 Pro, but I still have my FPV camera on top. And honestly, for me, I really love this setup because there's redundancy in filming. Once you get up to like a larger scale cinema camera, there'll be little features like they'll have 2 SD card slots and it's writing to both. So if one SD card corrupts, you're still good to go. Unfortunately, GoPros don't do that, but what I always do for every job that I'm on, I will film with the GoPro on top, and I will also be recording with the DJI O4 Pro. I have had times where like an SD card has been corrupted or just a clip didn't record, and I had that DJI O4 Pro as my backup. Saved my butt plenty of times. Other cool things, if you have this O4 Pro set up with the naked GoPros, you can do things like film 24 FPS with the GoPro and then film 120 FPS with the DJI O4 Pro. Allows you to shoot 2 frame rates on the same drone. It's really sweet because me personally, if I'm shooting real-time stuff, I want to shoot in real time. So it's going to be 23:9:8. If I'm doing, the only time I'll ever do a different frame rate is if I'm doing something slow-mo, and that'll be like the 120 FPS. So that's why I think that this combo right here, absolutely killer. And then finally, I think we're probably I'm just making claims out here today. We are the only company right now who sells a bind and fly of the Livestream gimbal drone. So you will get this exact setup. This, I have done probably 20 shoot days this year with just this drone right here. This is the Livestream gimbal drone that I talked about earlier. So what it does is it keeps the camera stabilized on all 3 axes. So that's your yaw, your pitch, and your roll. Getting stabilized live FPV has been something that's been difficult for the past couple years that the hobby has been a thing. When we have had it, it's always been on a much bigger platform. So to have the ability to have stable FPV live on such a small platform where you can get close to people, fly over people, it's been absolutely phenomenal. So I don't know why I picked up to show you guys. This is the DJI O3 version, but we do also sell it with the DJI O4 Pro camera, and that's what I've been using as my daily driver for the live stream setup. Yeah, so those are all of the versions of the Cinemini that we will sell as a built-in tuned drone. So yeah, you guys have probably seen a lot of footage with this guy. This is the dual operator Cinemini drone that I designed for a very specific shot that I had in this live stream broadcast that I've been doing on ESPN for a new sports league called TGL. Anyways, we're not gonna sell this as a binder fly just because there is a lot of building that goes into this. Everything you need to build this is on our website, rotorriot.com. On this version right here, actually, I had the DJI 04 Pro as the gimbal camera because that's what's actually live streaming. And then I had a DJI 03 on top. In the future, what I probably would have done is ran 2 DJI 04 Pros, but there's a shortage of 04 Pros. But now, I think it's looking a little bit better. So I would definitely run 2 of the DJI 04 Pros on the setup. So like I said, it's not gonna be a built-in tuning drone. It won't be a built-in tuning drone as of when this video is released, but we do sell everything. And if there is an update for that, for some reason we are selling it as a built-in tuned, I will update that in the comments below. So check the comments for the pinned comment if we sell this now. I want to talk about the flying characteristics before I show you guys some footage with this drone. The reason that the 2.5-inch platform with the naked GoPro is my favorite is because the biggest thing is the power to weight ratio is actually pretty similar to that of a 5-inch drone. I have the most experience flying 5-inch freestyle drones, so I wanted something similar that was a small and safe platform. And this drone right here, it really does have that. So some of the clips that we're going to show you later, you know, you'll see the drone punching up and like flying through fireworks. Like a normal Cinemini wouldn't be able to do it as fast and as nimble as this drone does. So for me, my favorite part of the flying characteristics is definitely the power to weight. Also with that, being so small and so powerful, it's very nimble. Like when you're flying like a 5-inch drone, you know it's like a pretty big drone, but when you're flying this thing, like you feel like a little fly zooming around wherever you're going. You feel a little more confident just because of how locked in it is, as well as just like small and nimble, right? So you can hit really small gaps with this thing and feel very confident about hitting those gaps. So yeah, so just with the natural raw power that it has, actually these are a prototype motor, which we will be selling to, and these are the Hype Train. They're going to be, I'll let you know the size later. But they're super powerful, very efficient. So one thing that I will do is, since this drone is so fast, when I am doing indoor flying, like if I'm doing a one-take fly through, what I do is I'll actually put a 70% throttle cap on this, and that just allows it to be a little bit more tame when it's flying inside. So I like my drones to have the most performance possible, and if I need to, tame back. Let's say this drone was just slow out the box, there's nothing you can do to make it have more power. So I'd rather have my drones have more power if I need to tame it back. So that's what I did with this drone. The frame, just everything about this drone is as light as it can be. So that's honestly what makes the flight characteristics as good as they are. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below about the Cinemini frame. Whether you want just the drone itself, drone with naked GoPro, drone with a gimbal, just a frame, or if you want to build it yourself with a DIY kit, we sell it all at rotorriot.com. There will be links in the description to all of the stuff. And yeah, bye-bye.